Hello and welcome to Living the Reno. Today is going to be demo day on our kitchen. We got a lot going on today, but first we gotta take everything out of the kitchen before we take down the cabinets. We also gotta set up our temporary kitchen so we can actually live through this renovation. Let's get started. Welcome back to our kitchen renovation series. The last one we went over the plan for our kitchen. Right now we're actually digging into the kitchen itself, getting started. First thing we had to do was take everything out of these cabinets. Surprisingly enough, there's not a lot of cabinets, but we had a lot of stuff to go through. We had to pare down the stuff that we were actually going to use as we were living through this renovation, kind of hence our channel name, Living the Reno. We had to set up a temporary kitchen, which you'll see in a minute, in our living room, and the rest of the stuff we had to put down into our basement so it was out of the way. As our house is just under 900 square feet, we didn't have a lot of options on where to set up a temporary kitchen, but this was very crucial in the renovation process. It really helped us out. So here we set up our microwave, as our stove is going to be unplugged for the most part. Coffee maker, can't live without that one, and all the other little kitchen appliances, toasters, toaster ovens, kettles, and a bunch of bins to put our utensils and plates. Now we actually start taking the actual kitchen apart. Start by taking off some of these hardware and these shelves. We're going to be repurposing these somewhere else in the house. They're fairly new, so we didn't want any of this stuff to go to waste. Now, as far as the countertops here go, we wanted to save this piece, this large piece of the peninsula. We're going to be reusing it as a temporary work surface for our island until we can get our actual countertops installed. This one piece here, kind of right in line with this corner, we wanted to cut off in a nice straight line. And then once we're done with it, we'll either donate it or find another use for it, maybe in a storage shed or a basement. But this one slab was very usable, so we decided to keep it. The rest of the countertops are too small and they got too many cuts and lines around the sink and stuff, so we're not going to keep those, but this piece we definitely got to hang on to. As you can see here, we kind of set it up as the island to give us an idea of what it's going to look like when the new design's in, and then it was just a matter of removing the rest of this piece here as well. This cabinet here, piece of furniture, whatever it is, was very heavy and awkward to remove. We had this elaborate plan using these blocks here, but it ended up getting wedged and making our life more difficult, but we finally did get this monster down and onto the ground. That was a very satisfying moment when we actually got that done. Here we moved the fridge over to where it's going to go to give us an idea of the actual finished sort of layout. Then we had to move the stove out of the way so we could work on these cabinets themselves. Now the cabinets themselves unfortunately were not worth salvaging. We're all for keeping things out of the landfill, but some things were just not worth saving. However, all of the hardware, the handles, the drawer pulls, and the hinges were all worth saving for future projects, or at least to give away so someone else has a chance to use them and they don't go to waste and just get tossed into a landfill. This drawer in the corner here we ended up having a bit of a challenge with because the farmhouse sink ended up blocking it, so we actually have to remove the sink before we can remove the last drawer. Farmhouse sink was fairly easy to take apart. It was just one of those things where we had to take our time to make sure that we didn't break or damage anything as we're planning on reusing it. It's actually a big cost savings that we could actually salvage this sink because it's really nice and they are not cheap sinks in general. As well as we wanted to save the faucet as there's nothing wrong with it. We would prefer to have a darker color. It's like an oil rub bronze and we wanted to have an actual black one. But for the meanwhile, we're going to plan on reusing this one until we can purchase another one. Taking this kitchen apart was an interesting process as there was many different remodels done to it, and so we kind of had to work in reverse of those remodels. So like that drawer, we can't take out until the sink's out, but we can't take the sink out until the countertop's out, at least the upper newer countertop, as they cut the old one out around it. Once this countertop was off, we had to break it up into smaller pieces, or at least break it in half. The actual laminate part of it was actually quite strong, so we kind of had to prop up some pieces of wood and stomp on it a bunch to get it into smaller pieces so we could get it outside and get it into our truck. We saved all the plumbing pieces that we could, as there was an ABS shortage at the time, so we didn't want to run out of pieces. After that, it was just a matter of removing the sink itself and setting it aside somewhere safe. Now moving on to the walls. So there's a lot of shiplap on these walls, and lumber prices are pretty high, and so again, we don't want to just toss stuff into the landfill for no reason. There is some great uses for this shiplap in the future. We're actually hoping to save some for our kitchen island. The first row we had to remove kind of violently and rip it apart, but all the other rows seemed to come out really good. We were really thankful that they didn't put this up with any adhesive. They just used brad nails. So once we got it started, it was pretty easy to get out, and it was just a matter of removing all the nails as we went. Here we're removing the blocking for the farmhouse sink. We're gonna have to do something similar when we take apart an Ikea cabinet to make it work. We're gonna have to add some blocking and bracing like this as well, as farmhouse sinks can get quite heavy. So it's just a matter of undoing everything they did in order. And as you can see here, we actually had to take out the shiplap on that wall first before we could actually get to these cabinets here, because everything was kind of built around it in order. These cabinets, like I said, were just put together with plywood, 2x4s, and a bunch of other materials, so it didn't want to come out in one nice piece. We just kind of had to work at it bit by bit and removing nails through the pieces as we went, so we ended up hurting ourselves. Just watch out for flying debris. When it came to the water lines coming up through the cabinets here, we had two options. One, we could cut them and put a cap on them and then try and slide the cabinet over. I didn't have any caps at the moment, so we decided that we were going to drill some holes and then use the jigsaw to cut a bigger hole around it, and that way we could just push that through, pull the whole cabinet bottom out, and then we could deal with those little pieces later and then cut the pipes to the right length, etc. This was just kind of a temporary measure just to get the cabinets out. All the pieces of the cabinets out, it was satisfying to see a blank, empty slate in which we could build our new kitchen upon. It's just a matter of cleaning it up, and then we have to move on to the rest of the shiplap. We were planning on reusing this light fixture, so it was just a matter of taking it down and making sure we kept all the hardware and putting it aside. And after that, it was going to be moving on to the rest of the shiplap. Once we figured out how to take the shiplap off on the first wall, it was just a matter of repeating the process on this wall, taking off that top row piece by piece, and then being able to remove these whole panels in solid sheets. This one here was actually kind of garbage, so we had to break it apart and so we could get it away because it was kind of chipped at the top. But the rest of the panels all the way down to the ground were all in good condition, just a lot of nails and a lot of fiddling it back and forth, so we didn't actually break the pieces. If we were to just rip them all off the wall, we probably could have done it a lot faster, but this way we saved all the materials and we're going to reuse in future projects. With all the demolition completed, we are looking forward to the next process in this kitchen, which is going to be redoing all of the electrical. But that is a tale for another video. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so you don't miss out on any of our future videos, including this kitchen series. But until then, we will catch you in the next one.